Which is the longest dungeon in Breath of the Wild? So we've covered Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and now it's time for the open-ended Breath of the Wild. This poll had to have been the most one-sided poll that I've asked, and a whopping 86% of you think that Divine Beast Vah Naboris is the longest, but for some reason YouTube doesn't allow more than 4 poll options, so I had to leave the other 2 dungeons out of the poll, but just including the Divine Beast, you guys thought Naboris was the longest, and let's see if you guys are right. I also just want to ask which 3% of you chose Medoh here. This ranking is going to be the most subjective ranking yet, since Breath of the Wild is so open-ended. But as always, the playthroughs are coming from someone who knows the game very well. The dungeons can be played in any order, and some dungeons may take a shorter amount of time depending on which ones you've already completed due to the champion's abilities. For this video, I'll be starting with Vah Ruta, then Rudania, then Naboris, and then Medoh. But if you do complete Naboris first, then you can get Urbosa's Fury and defeat the other bosses quicker, giving you potentially better times, but this is the order that I've always gone with and will continue to go with in this video. Unlike previous Zelda dungeons, the Divine Beast and the Final Trial don't have traditional closed rooms and are more just wide open spaces with no set order in the terminal activation. So I will not be counting the amount of rooms or floors in this video, unlike the previous videos, because I really can't. Here are the rules. The timer starts the moment I enter the dungeon and stops the second the boss is defeated. I won't be grabbing any optional chests unless it's not out of the way. And this is the first game where the dungeon map is actually required to begin the dungeon, so it's mandatory now. No glitches and no sequence breaks, just straightforward runs with solid game knowledge. I won't be activating the terminals in any specific order either. Oh, and I'll also be skipping cutscenes because I really want to measure the raw dungeon times. I'll also be playing the original Switch version, so not the Switch 2 upgrade. I'm sure the times will be almost identical anyways. Maybe faster loading times would play a bit of a role, but nothing significant. Aside from the 4 Divine Beasts, I'll also be including the Final Trial from the Champion's Ballad DLC and Hyrule Castle in this video. Hyrule Castle is a very tricky one to time in this game because of how non-linear and open-ended it is. You can either go through every room or you can just go straight to the final boss. So per the rules of the series, I'll be going directly to the boss, starting the timer at the front gates. But it's a dungeon that can either take you 1 hour or 1 minute. Before we dive in, drop your predictions in the comments and we'll see who gets it right. Okay, I think I've talked enough here. Let's dive into the first dungeon, Vah Ruta. We can start by shooting this glowing eye to progress. I was impatient here. Shoot another one in the water and then use Cryonis to lift the gate and allow us to get the map. There is a chest to the left in the water that I'm just going to ignore here. Alright, now we can go for the terminals. The first terminal is in this room, and if you use Magnesis on the crank, you can lift it out of the water and activate it. Head up through the linear path and into another large open room where I'm just going to take care of this guy quickly. You'll see a wheel with the terminal on it, and if you use Cryonis on the flowing water, just as the terminal is about to reach the ground, the wheel will stop and we can activate it. Head outside again and up the path, killing another glowing eyeball. I wasn't quick enough here though. Now, what you want to do is open your map and change the direction of the Divine Beast trunk so that it sits at the top, and this will allow this next wheel to spin. And I fell here. It's okay, it only took about 30 seconds to get back up. I used stasis too early here, but it still worked. You really want to use it on the switch opening the door so it stays there, allowing you to activate the third terminal, and I'm okay with sacrificing some hearts here. Outside the wheel, you'll see that there are platforms on the outside of it that can bring you up, so time it well to land on one and have it bring you up to the upper part of the room. Another guardian that I'm going to take care of. At this point in the game with only 3 hearts, he is a one-shot if he hits you, so I really don't want that headache right now. This switch allows for a shortcut if you fall down, so might as well step on it. Continue down the hall and change the trunk so it's at the bottom now. Now glide and land on the top of the trunk, and this is the most annoying terminal to get. You want to change the trunk so it's laying flat so you're able to reach the terminal, which didn't work for me here. The thing about these Divine Beast guys is that you're able to make mistakes and they aren't costly whatsoever due to their size. Okay, so ideally you should make the jump when it stops moving. Now change the trunk so it's higher up, allowing us to activate the 4th terminal. Jump off the trunk and down into the beast again, but glide behind to the 5th terminal blocked by flames. Kill another glowing eyeball, open the roof, and then change the trunk so it's spraying water on the flames, giving us the final terminal. Now get to the control room by simply gliding to the glowing mark, and I got this chest for silver rupee. Activate it and we'll fight the first boss. Very simple, just dodge his attacks and then flurry rush. He tried to stab here again, but his other move is a sweep, and both are pretty easy to dodge, but it can be very annoying for first timers. The second phase, we can just use our arrows. Simply just continue shooting him, aiming for his eye, and then attack once again. Basically rinse and repeat, avoiding everything and spamming arrows, and this gives us a final time of 10 minutes and 8 seconds. Vah Ruta can feel a bit confusing at first, and the main time factor is figuring out how to manipulate the trunk to solve puzzles, but doesn't actually take too long to click. The combat difficulty is low with some easy guardians to deal with, as well as a simple water blight Ganon boss if you've mastered the dodge ability. If you don't have arrows, then that's a completely different story and will add time. Some terminals require combining trunk positions with magnesis or stasis, so there is a tiny bit of a learning curve. Ruta is usually one of the first Divine Beast players attempt, so puzzles may feel harder simply because players are still learning the game. What slows the dungeon down is the waiting for the trunks to move into positions and waiting for the gears to rotate. I did mess up a couple times, but it's really not punishing in these Divine Beasts. Overall, it's a very simple opening dungeon with very few enemies, nearly no combat outside the boss, with simple puzzles, and is one of the first water dungeons in the series where players get somewhat of a break. When we enter Rudania, it becomes pitch black, and one of my favorite parts of this game. Shoot any glowing eye you see and grab a torch from the chest. I'm actually going to grab this chest because it's a better weapon that we can actually use as a torch as well. Now light the torch with the blue flame on a single torch to the right of the closed door to open it. Now take care of some more glowing eyes and a single guardian, and then light another torch to the left of the closed door to open it. Run through and grab the map. This opens up Rudania, and we can see now. To grab this first terminal, simply change Rudania's orientation to allow us to reach it. You'll notice that we only have 2 options to change rather than the multiple in Ruta, making it a bit less confusing. Change the orientation again and shoot another glowing eye to the left. In the first area, we can actually light an arrow with the torch and then use it on the leaves above the large metal door, burning the block and allowing us to reach the second terminal. If you don't have regular arrows here, guys, I'm pretty sure that you're out of luck and it could be a major time killer. Basically, you need to light another arrow with a blue torch and then shoot another torch through the small hole on the door to the right to open it up. Now shoot another flame arrow on the leaves above to drop a metal block. Place the block to the right of the flames blocking them, and then change the orientation of Rudania to allow us to move past them and activate the third terminal. Shoot another glowing eye and then change the orientation again to allow us to move up the stairs and outside. Here I needed the flame elixir. This next terminal is the most frustrating one in this dungeon, and look, I already friggin' fell. Where am I? Like, literally, where am I? I have no idea what's going on right now. Oh, here we are. We're right at the start. I don't think I've ever been out this way. We can reach the top by the outside, so we actually don't have to go up the stairs again. I grabbed this chest here, and it's just for an ancient core. The terminal is where the glowing eye is, so destroy it. And here I wasted a bit of time basically starting over and going up the stairs and back outside. Let's try this again. Change the orientation so you can land on the spine atop of the terminal and wait for it to be accessible. That one is always annoying. This last one, you want to head back inside it in the starting area. Light a torch, change the orientation, and then run upstairs back outside. Now jump down and light the torch for a gate to open. Move back inside and change the orientation to allow the ball to roll down, and then use magnesis to move the block up, allowing it to pass onto the switch below, giving us the last terminal. The main control unit is back outside, so jump back out, change the orientation, and let's fight the boss. This guy is a bit harder than Water Blight Ganon, but it's the same strategy for the first phase, just kind of dodge his attacks and then flurry rush. His attacks are a bit harder to dodge, though, as you can see. We just passed the time of Vah Ruta. Use arrows if you want to as well. For this first part of the second phase, just throw a bomb when he starts sucking in everything, and then just blow it up, allowing us to attack. The rest, just make good use of your arrows, and this will give us a final time of 12 minutes and 18 seconds. Vah Rudania wasn't as large or complex as Ruta, but had slightly higher puzzle difficulty, with terminals that require timing your movements with the Divine Beast rotation so you don't drop into the lava. Once again, there's low combat difficulty, with the majority of enemies being simple glowing eyes. The boss was a bit harder than the Water Blight Ganon boss and requires better timing with his attacks. Potential time sinks for this dungeon include the use of regular arrows, so if you're out of them, then you're out of luck and have to leave and get some. The terminal outside the beast requires good timing to land on the spine while rotating, so that could also be a time killer. Other than that, once again, it's a very simple layout, and I was genuinely surprised that it was longer than Ruta considering how much smaller it was, and the layout only having 2 options to change as opposed to Ruta. This is by far the most complex divine beast and maybe the most traditional dungeon-like. Ignore destroy the guardian and then destroy the glowing eye. Now just run to the opposite end and up the stairs to the right to get the map. Ready for this? For this beast, we changed the internal structure in 3 ways. The first terminal I'm gonna get is actually inside this cage you see here. So if we move it to its opposite end, we can go through this window on the other side and we can now enter the cage with the terminal and move it upright and finally activate it. Let's get out of this damn thing. Now we're going to make our way to the upper back end of the beast, and if we stand on this platform and move it up, we can reach the upper platforms. Now we can simply glide to the upper deck, but we're not done yet. You see, if we move all cylinder positions of the beast to the top, then we can activate the electrical current, and now we can move and position these so that the current runs through the back. Now you want to break the current and then reattach it, and the whole animation will have to start over, and this will allow us to be able to quickly run up to the back platform. Take care of another glowing eye. These 2 terminals are the most annoying to get. You'll find an electric ball sitting on a platform just below the one we're on now, so let's go ahead and, well, I guess drop it. What you really want to do is bring it up from the elevator to the very top, and let's move this platform a bit here. Oh, I did not mean to fall. Oh, how do I get back up? Ideally, the ball should be sitting in this room, but I don't know if I'm stuck now. Okay, never mind. So don't fall. That's just a bit of a waste of time, but don't fall. And instead, head to the opposite end where we can kill this guy. Bro, what is that timing? This guardian just sacrificed himself. Okay, if you take the elevator to the top, we can grab the second electric ball. So let's grab it and leave it in the middle area for a second. Now we need to kill that glowing eye so it's not blocking this terminal. Okay, now he's dead. After killing the glowing eye, we can finally activate the second terminal that appears. Grab the ball and simply throw it down the hole we fell into before, and do the same for the other ball. Great. Now we can place them on their pedestals, which will allow us to activate the third terminal. Go back up the elevator on the back end and leave the same way we came through, but this can be a bit confusing. So now I'm going to make my way to the opposite end now, keeping everything the same, and just stand on the long platform moving up until you can reach the upper platform. Carefully jump across to activate the 4th terminal. This last terminal looks to be on the camel's face, so if we jump down on the opening to where the original room was, we can actually ride it up until we reach a top opening to go through. This can be a bit confusing because the first opening is actually completely useless, and the middle way is just a chest with a shield, I think. Finally, go through once you reach the top and move the crank to the left to align the left switch with the electricity. And now if you move it to the right, it actually moves the right switch, so move it in place, and this will move the neck upright and allow us to ride an elevator up and activate the final terminal. We just passed the time of Vah Ruta. Jump back down, and you might have to wait for an opening, but we didn't here. And just move the middle control switch upright to face the boss, and this one is a tough one. This is the hardest Divine Beast boss so far and requires extremely good timing. When it moves, just try your best to dodge and then flurry rush. That's the hardest part so far. His shocks are very easy to avoid, and Daruk's protection, if you have it, can help a lot here too. We just passed the time of Vah Rudania. The first part of the second phase is actually very annoying too, but basically you want to wait for him to drop his medals and then quickly grab one that didn't go off yet and then move to him so that he gets zapped. This can take several tries and can be annoying as hell, but I don't know how I got that. The rest of the battle is pretty much the same thing as before, but I made it so close and got really nervous here. Holy crap, bro. I wasn't taking any chances and used the best weapon I had to finally finish him off, giving us a final time of 14 minutes and 45 seconds, but I was sweating here. This guy was so close to getting me. So clearly, Vah Naboris is a massive step up from the other divine beasts in terms of difficulty and complexity. The dungeon's interior is larger and more segmented than the other divine beasts except maybe Ruta, with some terminals hidden behind rotating mechanisms. The main mechanic is controlling the rotation of the central cylinders, which changes the positions of walkways, power lines, and terminals. Much of the time spent here comes from figuring out how to manipulate the 3 big cylinder rings without losing track of your position. Time is also spent waiting around around for platforms to bring you up or waiting for openings. It has the highest combat difficulty with a few more guardians in here than in Ruta or Rudania, and by far the hardest blight boss. He's incredibly fast and requires precise dodging for flurry rushes, and gave me a really good run for my money here. His second phase with the metal pillars and lightning strike trips up a lot of players as well. The dungeon constantly shifts between rotating internal chambers, navigating changing platforms, and solving electric circuit puzzles. Naboris is strictly puzzle first and truly tests your spatial awareness. Medoh has to be my favorite, but it is by far the easiest too. We can start by once again getting rid of the glowing eye and then gliding to the opposite side where the map is. That was damn close. I'm gonna ignore this guy. Map. Now we're gonna jump down and not worry about this malice. The mechanic here, guys, is just tilting the wings of the beast up or down. So we have three options. And if we tilt the left wing down, we can easily just glide to the first terminal. Tilt the wing up now and be able to glide back. Now level it and head back inside after killing this guy. If we use the updraft, we can actually make our way to the opening on the right side. Get out of here. Hit the switch to create a draft and create an opening. This might be the most annoying puzzle, but it's actually not that bad. Tilt the bird so that the stone falls all the way against the left wall. And now tilt the wings the opposite way and use magnesis to hold the windmill in place until the stone rolls down, hitting the switch, allowing us to activate the second terminal. If we keep the bird tilted, we can easily just glide to the opposite room. Once again, take care of this guy blocking the terminal and then level the bird so that we can run to the top of the platform. Move the wing up and then simply glide to the opening where the terminal sits. Move this wing down again and then place a bomb in the small hole here and have it roll through and then blow up the weirdly shaped boulder. Now roll another bomb in there and the geyser will blow it to the left and we can blow up another boulder and this will release a metal ball. Now you can move this wing up to roll the ball to us and then level the bird. Now we can use magnesis to place it in front of the bomb opening and then move this wing down and the ball will roll and hit the switch, opening the door and allowing us to activate the fourth terminal. Run out of the room, jump down and take the first opening you see. This may take several tries and it did, but what we need to do is get rid of this annoying ass eye with the well-positioned arrow. It can be annoying, and if you run out of arrows, then I am so sorry here. Once you finally destroy it, stand on the carousel and then tilt the wings down to bring you across and into the opening. This is one of my favorite parts of this dungeon here. Now level it again and run up to activate the final terminal. Activating it will lower these bars and we can easily get to the central part of the dungeon now. This is staring at me, so I'm just gonna get it. Thank God I did too, because we need arrows. In the central area, just use the geyser to bring you atop and let's fight the boss. This guy is probably the easiest boss in the game and even easier with their Urbosa's Fury. So I use that up 3 times quickly and the rest of the way I just use bomb arrows until the second phase. It's the exact same idea here, except this time he can shoot rockets at you. We just passed the time of Vah Ruta. Just continue to hit him with arrows and this will give us a final time of 10 minutes and 21 seconds. Holy crap, that was close with Ruta. Vah Medoh has a very open interior with large gaps, sloped surfaces, and wide sight lines. Much of the dungeon's time comes from lining up shots and gliding between platforms rather than solving complex puzzles. The combat difficulty is the lowest out of any divine beast, and most enemies can once again be avoided, and the final boss was also the easiest by far. The puzzle difficulty is also low, and the main mechanic is tilting the entire beast, which changes slopes and flight paths. Many terminals are visible early on, making it easier to plan your route. Puzzles mostly involve timing glides, adjusting tilt angles, and landing on platforms. The one puzzle with the stone needing to hit the switch while also using magnesis to hold the windmill in place is probably the biggest time sink of the dungeon, but still very simple. The dungeon encourages continuous movement, glide, land, activate a terminal, glide again. Compared to Naboris, Medoh almost feels relaxing and it's more about traversal mastery rather than puzzle solving. The beast may take you longer if you want to stop and admire the view, which I tried my best not to here. Medoh may not be the shortest by seconds, but it is by far the easiest. This is one of the most underrated dungeons in the series and I absolutely love it. Just look at this design. The map is very easily accessible and is just in the center. Oh, this guy's going for it. Okay, this beast is actually very simple mechanically and only has 2 options to change the rotation direction. So to start, we actually have 4 room options. So I'm gonna start with the hardest room, which is the left of the entrance. So change the rotation and then use magnesis on a rotating metal slab above to push it it into an opening in the wall, which will spin the entrance of the next room as well. What do you know? The hardest room in this dungeon has an electric puzzle. What we want to do is displace the metal slab at the top of the room and just throw it down. Now place it in the slot, and when the other slab comes back down, pull it out with magnesis to catch the other slab, making the entire room spin. This doesn't open the door no matter how much I wanted it to. So if you actually change the direction of the rotation, the block will catch the other one on the other side, and that will open the door. So wait for it to come back around and activate the first terminal. This room was the hardest in the dungeon, so the worst is now behind us. Back outside, and with each terminal activation, a new guardian enemy will appear, each harder than the last, so I'm going to continue to do my best to ignore them. Back in the central room, just change the direction of the rotation and then use the smaller wheel on the lava to reach the next platform. Wait for the entrance opening for the next room and then head right in. Change the direction again and then wait for a clear path. And carefully make your way across the rotating platform, but this isn't too difficult. We want to step on this switch so that the orb falls into the slot. Now basically continue to change the rotation until the ball finds its way out through the bottom. Grab it and place it on the small slot and it'll roll down and onto the switch, allowing us to activate the second terminal. Great, now there's a guardian turret here. Holy hell, that was close. I'm surprised the shield didn't break. Allow the smaller wheel to bring you up and then hop on the larger wheel so that you can hop down and glide to the upper area. This guy is going to be a pain in the ass, I swear. Climb up the ladder and use magnesis to grab a slab out of the slot. Now try your best to place it inside the other slab and then pull them onto the opposite slab to allow us to wait to enter the next room. This may take a couple tries and only took me about a minute here. Okay, frick off. No, I'm not risking it. Never mind. Now this is probably the easiest room in the dungeon. Run up the ladder and then change the rotation direction so that the fan is now pushing air, allowing us to glide across to the next platform. We just passed the time of Vah Ruta. Climb up and now change the direction again so it's pulling air and land on the moving platform. Finally, freeze the fan and we can now activate the terminal behind it. Easy, huh? We just passed the time of Vah Medoh. Head back out and make our way to the opposite side, and now we have a damn Sky Watcher that spawned, but I'm taking my chances and continuing to ignore. Climb up the ladder and use stasis on one of these slabs before they fall back down, and it'll catch the other stone and bring you up from the platform. Use Cryonis under the pin and that will begin to move the platform. Now change the direction to have it bring you up and into the next area. Here use stasis to continue to hit the right side of this spigot looking thing, and it'll get the whole mechanism moving and lowering the water. We just passed the time of Vah Rudania. Jump down into the newly accessible area and step on the switch up the stairs. Grab the metal ball that appears and place it on top of the block, and then step on the switch again to shoot it across the room, hitting the spigot again and raising the water. Finally, use Cryonis to move up and activating the final terminal. I'm gonna kill this guy because he's in my way. Finally, use Magnesis to push the spinning key in place and it'll open the door to the boss of the dungeon and probably the hardest boss in the game. We just passed the time of Vah Naboris. Use your best weapons here and do dodge's dash attack, which is much harder to pull off. He'll also shoot some elemental arrows, so be wary. His next phase is actually much harder and you'll summon many clones. Try your best to just pick them apart until you hit the real one. This is probably the hardest phase, but Urbosa's Fury helped a bit here. And so did Mipha's Grace. I actually used up like every ability. But it's a decent strategy to pick them apart with arrows while in the air. Keep at it and you'll reach the next phase, but I was getting really nervous here. The next phase is actually much easier, even if it doesn't look like it. First, hit him with the perfect shield part, and at this point in the game, you should be an expert at that. Now wait for him to throw all his metal balls and then grab one and electrocute him with it. I had to eat something here because I was getting really nervous. Oh no, I'm not dying here. Oh, Urbosa, great timing. Okay, that finally took care of him, giving us a final time of 23 minutes and 55 seconds. Holy crap, that was a tough boss. This final Divine Beast is significantly longer and denser than the rest. It's structured as a series of challenge rooms, each built around a distinct mechanic from the earlier Divine Beasts rather than one open interior space. The combat difficulty is very high here, with new tougher guardians appearing in the central room after each terminal activation. They can be avoided but are still a massive pain in the ass. The boss is the hardest boss in the game and almost took 10 minutes here to defeat, and and is a true skill check for your dodging, flurry rushes, and situational awareness. The puzzle difficulty was also high, with each section testing the mastery of Breath of the Wild's core systems. The biggest time sinks of this dungeon is the rotating electricity room, because of course it is, and the final boss. The rest of the rooms are pretty straightforward, but this entire dungeon feels like a comprehensive final exam for Breath of the Wild's mechanics. All right, Hyrule Castle. Guys, I am not actually going to edit any footage here because I swear it's only going to take me a minute to get to the sanctum. So yeah, I'll just show you how short of a time it actually can take just to get there. So we can just run and climb, and honestly and ignore these guardians. They really shouldn't give you any trouble. I mean, if you have to, you can just reflect them back with the roof's protection, but they really shouldn't give you any trouble if you do have Revali's Gale. So just kind of continue to use Revali's Gale to make your way up. But I just want to admire how well of a job they did with the castle in this game. Like, they did such a good job with the design. Okay, let's continue to climb and ignore another guardian. Look at this sky now at the top. Holy crap. Okay, I'm not going to be bothered here, and a quick Daruk's protection should take care of things. Okay, it only took about a minute to get to the sanctum. Now, this is one of the easiest final bosses in the series. His attacks are much like Fireblight Ganon's attacks, so dodge them the same way and then just go to work. If he climbs on the wall, just hit him with the bomb arrow. Just continue to dodge and you'll get to the second phase in no time. His first move is this, apparently, so just do a perfect par here. Continue to dodge like normal and you'll be easily defeated. Sometimes he'll go back on the wall, so just continue using arrows. I'm going to finish him with Urbosa's Fury here because I have one left. Now, Dark Beast Ganon is even easier. Looks really cool though, but is very easy. You want to wait till Zelda releases glowing points on him and then hit him with the Bow of Light, which I totally forgot to equip here, and I was shooting him with bomb arrows. Just continue to hit them once she releases them. Oh, and this guy moves incredibly slow, so if you ever get hit with his attacks, then that's honestly very embarrassing, and that should best be kept to yourself. Don't let me know that. Once all the glowing spots are hit, just stand in front of him, wait for him to attack, and then use Revali's Gale to finish him off, giving us a final time of 7 minutes and 12 seconds. That's kind of cute. Guys, there's a lot more to Hyrule Castle than this, with lots of complex rooms and openings, and it could actually end up being one of the longest dungeons in this series if you actually explore. This time is not indicative of Hyrule Castle whatsoever. Like, there is so much to this dungeon. It's actually one of the better dungeons in this series if you actually explore. But per the rules of the series, I couldn't change them just for this dungeon alone. So in this case, it was the shortest dungeon in the game, and with Revali's Gale, it shouldn't take more than 2 minutes to reach the sanctum. The bosses are also extremely simple and a letdown challenge-wise, which didn't help make this dungeon any longer than it was. The castle's open design allows you to bypass almost all interior routes by climbing exterior walls, climbing from high vantage points, or using Revali's Gale or even stamina food. The dungeon length here is defined almost entirely by movement efficiency rather than puzzle solving. Most enemies can be completely ignored, and there are no required puzzles when you're rushing. Doors, locks, and interior mechanics are bypassed entirely. Calamity Ganon is a breeze, especially if the Divine Beasts are cleared beforehand, and Dark Beast Ganon is purely cinematic and offers little challenge. There's no traditional dungeon pacing, no build-up, no mechanical progression, and the flow is basically climb, glide, climb again, sanctum. Here's a total comparison in order of each dungeon's length in Breath of the Wild. So there doesn't seem to be any pattern from the dungeon order that I've chosen, aside from the first three, in which you see an increase in length, and then you have Medoh dragging it down again. And now if we compare the lengths from the smallest to the largest, we can visualize just how much longer the final trial was compared to the rest of the dungeons. It's almost 10 minutes longer than the longest divine beast Naboris. Another thing to note was just how close Medoh and Ruta were. There was just a 13-second difference between the two, and that's even after messing up a bit in Ruta, followed by a pretty flawless Medoh run, and shows that Ruta is the shortest dungeon, but not by much at all, and could all come down to the simple mistake you make. To nobody's surprise, out of the 4 main divine beasts, it was Naboris that was the longest and most complex. On average, each dungeon took only 13 minutes and 6 seconds to complete, and if we compare every 3D Zelda game that we've covered in order, Breath of the Wild is the shortest and would land at the bottom, and just shows that this game really wasn't meant to have larger complex dungeons like the previous Zelda games, and it was more focused on the open world and exploration. The biggest surprise to me was how damn close Medoh and Ruta were in length. I always thought that for sure Medoh was the shortest divine beast, but to be that close in length with Ruta was so interesting to see. Another surprise was Vah Ruta being the shortest divine beast when it's so much larger and feels so much larger than Rudania at least. And it's a divine beast that really did feel longer and more complex than what it was. There's really no other surprises to me, to be honest. The list was pretty predictable, and Breath of the Wild certainly isn't known for its dungeons, and the divine beasts all really felt around the same length. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know any comments or surprises about anything here. Next time in this mini series, we will be going through and timing every dungeon in Tears of the Kingdom, and that will be the final time I say that, because that's the final game we're covering. So stay tuned and take care.